Accept that your heroes are full of shit. They're not gods, they're just regular people who got really good at one thing by neglecting literally everything else. This is a quote by Jason Pargin. And we can think a lot about this because how often and how easy is it for you to look at your famous celebrity or your favorite sports player on your favorite football team, basketball team, or your favorite music artist, or famous anybody, any celebrity, and say, I wish I was them. I wish I was as successful as them. I wish I had their life. But like celebrities compared to people like you and I, we post things on social media. And a lot of the times, the majority of people, especially in our realm of people post their best moments. They don't post when they're struggling, when they're having an argument with their relationship partner, or when they're going through a dark time. Some people do, but very few. Right? And celebrities and your famous people are no different from this. They post their best moments when they're on the red carpet or they just released their new album and everything's great. What if everything isn't great, right? An artist can release an album and he could be completely depressed. You don't know it, right? Because they're not going to tell that to you, right? Because they want to keep up this public image of they're happy, they're successful, they have a great life. And I'm not saying that no celebrities or famous people have a great life, right? Internally, emotionally, right? I'm not saying they don't, but you don't know, right? And so you're looking up to these people. I wish I was like them. You don't know what they're going through. I really think about this. It's so easy to be like, all right, oh, I wish I was them. You have zero idea of all of the issues that they're going through. And there's this concept that Stephen Bartlett brought up when he was on Chris Williamson's podcast. They're both podcasters. Stephen Bartlett's podcast is called Diary of a CEO. And he was talking about this concept that he asks pretty famous individuals on his podcast. He asked them, are you being driven or dragged? And let me explain what this means. So when you're going towards a huge goal, a life purpose, a goal that's 5 years away or a year away, or anything that you're trying to accomplish, there's this idea that you may be being driven or dragged. And so driven is, you're going for that goal completely. It's what you believe is going to fulfill your soul and you're super passionate about it. And it's for you, and you want to help everyone around you. And it's just this great ball of energy within you of, I'm going to do this. I love this. I'm doing it. And then when you're dragged is when you're being pulled by that goal. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't want to accomplish it, but you're doing it out of a state of lack of maybe mom and dad when you were younger told you were a horrible basketball player, and that made you want to work as hard as possible and become the best NBA player ever because they told you weren't good enough. And you're working towards this goal and working super hard, but you're being dragged by it. You're being dragged by it because you're doing it in order to finally get mommy and daddy's approval, right? It could be in part that you want to go for the goal and you love basketball, but in large part it's also because you're trying to fill this hole that was put within you because of what your parents may have said or what your friends when you're younger would have said to you, or a certain experience that you had or multiple experiences that you had that conditioned you to be a certain way. And now I would argue that the majority of us, probably every human being ever, is never fully driven or fully dragged. Now, I can't make that complete conclusion, but my thought process is that we're all being a little bit dragged and we're all being a little bit driven. Some of us are more than others. Like, for example, in the content that I put out, I would say I'm more driven than dragged. This fulfills my soul, and I love sharing this information as a result of the negative experiences that I've been through, so I can share the lessons that helped me overcome them, so I can help you guys, right? But I thought about it when I heard about the driven and dragged concept, and I said to myself, well, there was a phase in my life quite a few years ago where I lost all my friends and it seemed like nobody cared about me and everyone hated me. And maybe a small, minuscule part of the reason as why I'm doing this is to prove them wrong. And now in my conscious mind, I wouldn't say that's why I'm doing it at all. But how do I really know that there's not a deep part of me that's partly doing this because it's like, all right, well, I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to do this and I'm going to accomplish this because it's finally going to prove them wrong, right? I would say that there might be a little part of that within me, even though consciously I don't really recognize it. But the point is, whatever we're going towards in life, we're most likely being driven and dragged. Some of us more one than the other, right? And of course, the key would be to whatever life purpose or path that you're going down, you want to make sure that you're moving towards it because you're morally driven than you are being dragged by it, right? Because you can be, your parents when you're younger can tell you, hey, John, you have to become a doctor. And if you don't become a doctor, you're never going to be successful and we'll never accept you. and we won't love you. And of course, that's conditional love, not unconditional love. And unconditional love is what grants us the most prosperity in terms of our inner peace and emotional regulation, psychological level, generally speaking. And so what we need to do is make sure that we're going towards something we want. And so if you go down that path, for example, now I'm not saying being a doctor is bad, but I am saying if you're becoming a doctor just because your parents told you that this is what you should do, you really have to think, okay, maybe it won't be for me. And it could be, right? So there's definitely scenarios where parents will tell their children that they have to do this and they have to go down this life path, and they're being more dragged, but it does work out in the end. And, it might not, you might be like, oh, I don't know if I want to become a doctor. And maybe you become a doctor and you do it for a few years and you actually find out that you love it, right? But I think, unfortunately, this is a more rare case. The more common case is when you're being dragged by someone else's beliefs of what they want for you, or doing something or going down a life path in order to gain your parents' approval, for example. The majority of people don't end up happy. And in fact, they end up miserable and unfulfilled and bored with their life and broken and never feeling like they're good enough, right? And of course, these are all parts of existence that you would like to avoid or not participate in for a very long period of time, right? And so we have to make sure that we're doing what we want to do with our lives, right? And of course, this can be a very difficult task. If you've gone your entire life and everybody told you that this is what you have to do and this is what's going to make you successful, it's difficult to break that conditioning. It's difficult to break that habit, right? And what I do, I recently started coaching and I've been putting out YouTube content for the past year and a half. This was definitely a step out of my comfort zone, right? Nobody ever told me that you could make any money or that you should even pursue something like YouTube or doing something like coaching. It was the entirety of my life. It was go to school, graduate college, get a job, retire at 65, start a family along the way, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but for me, I thought something was wrong with it. And so I don't believe that that's the life path that's going to fulfill me. So I'm doing something a little bit different. But the point is, when you do something a little bit different, or might not even be something different, just what you truly want to do, because what you truly want to do could be getting a certain college degree or in a certain area, but everyone else might be, oh, well, you should get it in this area. You'd be like, no, I like this, right? And so you're still battling these mental thoughts of, okay, well, everyone's telling me to do this. Should I do that instead, right? And so this is where the whole concept of doing things by yourself, or at least with a very small group of people, until you're really on track and you're seeing some sort of success, then you can start to tell other people about it, right? We have a pretty strong urge to, when we have an idea of something we want to do, like when I wanted to start a podcast, and when you want to start anything, it's very easy to be like, go to your friends and go to everyone else and be like, hey, I feel like I want to start this, this is really cool. And a lot of the times when you express this newfound gratitude and passion of yours to other people, they don't elicit the exact same response that you do. You elicit passion and energy, and they might be, oh yeah, that's cool, but I mean, what if it doesn't work out? Right? And then you're like, what if it doesn't work? I'm telling you about something I want to do, and you're just like, what do you mean it's not going to work out? Right? It's like, and then this can plant negative thoughts in your mind of, okay, you're really passionate about this. You may not have even started, or you're very short into the process of starting. And as a result of them saying that, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's certain friends, maybe it's just certain people in your environment, and they say, well, it might not work out. Well, then you might think, oh yeah, maybe they're right. What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if I should do this instead? I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even start, right? And so you get all these thoughts planted in your brain from other people. And the issue with this is sometimes, or most of the time, your parents and some of your friends will have the best interest in their conscious mind for you, right? They want you to be successful. They want you to thrive, right? But they might not know what that is to you, right? They might say, well, you can only do, you in order to be successful, you have to do this. That's their idea of success, of what life is. Now, we have society, especially in the United States, you might be watching this from somewhere else, but there's also a bunch of other parts of the world that are like this too. Materialism is very much promoted, and success in the United States is making millions of dollars, or at least a couple $100,000, having a nice car, having a nice house, being able to buy watches, all this stuff, right? We can think about this on the surface, and this stuff might sound cool. I'm not saying to never strive for this if this is something you want to strive for. But what I am going to say is that from the people that I've spoken to, and from my own thought process about it, you will not be fulfilled as a result of material success. It can be a cool byproduct of what you're doing, but if you're chasing just money, you will never be fulfilled. And more so, not even money, just the materialistic items, because you can get $1 million home and a nice car, but if you cut everyone off, you cut all your relationships off along the way, then what's that $1 million house worth if you're in it completely alone? And so the whole purpose of me talking about this is we have to make sure that we are being driven by the goals that we set for ourselves, and that we need to set goals for ourselves. For a long time in my life, I suppose I heard about setting goals, but I never actually set a goal for myself. It was just kind of, all right, well, I'm going to school for 7 hours a day. I'm coming home doing my homework. I'm hanging out with my friends, blah, 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 whatever. It's right. It's whatever. It's chill. It's cool. If we don't set any goals for ourselves, we may be running in the wrong direction. One of my friends that I've met, his mentor was Bob Proctor. And he said to me that a lot of people are going nowhere fast. Right? Everyone, especially in the United States, everyone's always rushing around. Everyone's always got something to do. You engage in a conversation with someone, they're always looking around. It's like they're not even in the present moment. They can't pay attention to you for more than 5 seconds. Everyone's attention span is gone. And everyone's, I need to do this and this. But is all this stuff clouding in your life and moving towards, is it actually what's going to fulfill you? Because a lot of us are running very fast in the wrong direction. So we have to take a step back. We have to think to ourselves, am I going in the right direction, right? And New Year's is coming up, right? And this is the time where people sit back and they say, all right, well, I'm finally going to get in the gym this year, and I'm finally going to ask my boss for a raise, or I'm finally going to start that business, or I'm finally going to do this. And most of the time, people don't even start, but the ones that do, most of them don't end up continuing. They'll do it for a week and then they'll give up, right? This is the cycle, and it makes sense because that's what everyone else is doing, right? If everyone else is giving up, it's so much easier for you to give up too. I mean, giving up on your dream isn't as painful as it would be if everybody else was following theirs. Everybody has a dream. Everybody has something that they thought about when they were a child. I really want to do that. And then they got to an age and everyone told them, no, it's not realistic. So they gave up on it. 99% of people are doing this. So when you give up on your dream, it doesn't feel as bad since everyone else is doing it, right? Everyone else is doing it too, right? Nobody's following their dreams. You sitting in your office job that you hate, suddenly it sucks, but it's not as bad because everybody else in the office hates it too, right? You're not the only person who hates it and everyone else is loving it. So when we can sit down with ourselves and we can figure out which direction we're going in now, and then making sure that it's the right one. If it isn't, we might need to take a complete 180 and turn the complete other direction, or we may just need to make a little shift and just go, all right, we're going to go this way now, right? And this is the importance of goals to be set for yourself, right? These can be income goals or relationship goals or self-growth goals, mindset goals. I want to lift this much in the gym. I want to run 1 more mile than I did the other day. I want to feel better today than I did yesterday. Now, these are pretty broad things that I'm mentioning, but you want to get deep with it. You want to open yourself up to yourself and figure out what these things are so that you can make the proper changes to thrive in your life. And sometimes it's a hard process. Sometimes we don't want to see those dark parts of ourselves. We don't want to open ourselves up to ourselves, and we just want to throw the problems to the back of our mind and say, no, forget about it, right? And Dr. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about how you need to open yourself up to yourself, and you have to ask yourself difficult questions. But on top of even asking yourself that difficult question, you have to want to know the answer, right? This is key. You have to want to know the answer. Because if you truly want to know the answer, your mind and your body will bring it to you. And it may be an ugly one, but it's the answer that you're looking for, and it's the truth. So that's really what we should all be after, is just the truth. Whether it proves you wrong or it proves you right, doesn't matter. Just whatever the truth is, because that is what will prevail in your life, right? Truth is truth, and you can make things seem like they're true when they're not, and it can dictate parts of your reality, but it will only make things worse because you're trying to mess up the fabric of reality. Like when you lie to people and when you lie to yourself, you destroy a part of yourself, and you're not even respecting yourself, right? So much of the reason that people lie, even sometimes about small things that we lie about, is because we don't want to hold ourselves accountable. And we're worried about other people judging us. But we don't realize is people will actually respect you more when you own up to your mistakes, or you just hold yourself accountable for something, or you can admit when you're wrong. Now, that's a big one. Many of us cannot admit when we're wrong. And over the past few months, I would say this is something that I've been working on, and I would say I've been making a lot of progress with it. And I feel so much better being able to authentically express myself to people and accept when I'm wrong. Oh wow, I never thought about I never thought about it in that way before. Right? And people start to respect you more for this, because if you're going to lie all the time, or you're going to pretend you know something when you don't, people can pick up on that, right? And it's not always super conscious at the forefront of their mind, but their brain recognizes, okay, something's off here. We call this vibe energy. You know, it's like, all right, the energy is off here. Something's a little bit weird, right? And so being authentic will drive, if you don't know what your passion is now, or passions, or you don't know what your life direction should be, start to figure out who you are, right? And make sure you express yourself authentically to other people, because that will allow you to be granted the friendships and the relationships that are going to be super powerful for you. I believe the phrase was, the persona can only gain praise, but not love, right? A lot of us put a mask on in public, but you can't receive love from not being yourself, because it's not you. You're not actually receiving anything. You might gain a little bit of praise, and it's like, oh, a little instant gratification. But you're never going to be fulfilled from not being yourself. So in being authentic, you will discover more about yourself. And then in discovering more about yourself, you'll start to be able to gain the courage to try a few more things in your life and do things a little bit differently. And then you will gain the perspective to envelop some ideas of what you might want to do with your life. Or you'll gain the consciousness to see where you are right now and say, I don't like this, and I need to change, and I need to change this habit out. I need to stop smoking. I need to do this instead, right? And this is a process. For me, it took probably a good 6 months to a year before I started really seeing results. But honestly, 6 months to a year isn't that much. And as New Year's is coming around, I would say start today, right? Don't wait till the new year. But if you're going to wait till the new year, you have to make sure, because it's only a few days from now, you have to make sure that you're going to commit to it and you're going to keep going. You're going to set in stone that mindset of, I'm going to keep doing this, even if it feels uncomfortable at first or other people give up around me. Because people will start to, when everyone else is giving up around you, when they start trying at the beginning of New Year's and you start trying and they shortly give up, and you're still going after them, they're going to respect you for that. Now, sometimes it can be in disguise. Like sometimes those people that are going to stop are going to make fun of you or be like, oh, I can't believe he's still doing this. But it's really just envy, right? They're reminded of what they stopped doing themselves or what they couldn't even bring themselves to do. And what you're moving towards the life that they desire to have, but they don't want to put in the work, and it's too scary for them to change, so they won't do it, and they observe you doing it, and they're frightened by that, right? So a lot of people in our relationships are scared that we're going to outgrow them. And this is not everyone. There's a lot of people who are probably in your life, and I know are in my life, that support me for what I'm doing, and I don't have to worry about doing what I'm doing and having them do something behind my back and try to ruin things for me, right? But sometimes those people are sprinkled in there, and they might be in your life right now, and you might not know they are now, and one day they'll show their true colors. And I will tell you that when you start following your path of what you truly want, those people shortly after do reveal their true colors. I can very much tell now who my real friends are and who isn't. And there's been only a few. I don't want to say that there's been a huge epiphany for me of like, oh my God, everyone's out to get me because I'm finally doing what I want to do and they're just jealous. No, it's not like that. But there have been a very few individuals where I was actually friends with, and shortly after, starting to pursue my path, there was just so much hear from other people. Hey, they're just talking crap about you. They're saying this, and I'm just like, wow, I thought they were my friend, and I support them in what they do. I thought they supported me. Apparently not, right? But the point is, when you being authentic is the best thing you can do with your life, because it will, like I'm saying, it will get you to find your path. Then you'll be able to root out the bad relationships and the negativity and start to live the best life possible. Now, think about in your life now, in the grand scheme, are you being driven or dragged? and make sure that whatever life path you're going down, you may still be being dragged a little bit, right? There may still be some trauma left over in your mind or negative experiences that are affecting you, but make sure that you are primarily being driven over being dragged, right? Moving more towards that driven is going to allow you to prosper in your life and feel fulfilled in what you're doing for yourself. See you guys soon.